Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome into the show. You're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report. Chase Senior here with you. And I know a lot of you are in shambles. You're emotionally triggered after watching the Seattle Seahawks go into Levi's Stadium and hoist another Lombardi trophy and taking down the New England Patriots. And I know these words aren't great for Niner fans. The Seahawks are Super Bowl 60 champions. So coming up on today's show, they are now the hunted, the Seahawks are. What do the Niners need to do to catch Seattle and close this gap? We're going to get into that. But let's begin here. If you hate the Seahawks and you can't stand Seattle, we have our F Seattle shirts. Be a part of the collection. Myself and our design guy, Arnold, we put these shirts together going into the divisional round game. This is my personal favorite here because you have Sourdough Sam choking out the Seahawks mascot with the F Seattle text down below. But we also have just standard F Seattle shirts available with a black background, gold font, but also red shirts available too. All you have to do is use that link down below, chatsports.com/F Seattle. Chatsports.com/F Seattle. Get your shirts, and you can wear these year round to show your colors who you root for and show everybody that you're always anti-Seahawks. All right, Super Bowl 60 in the rear view. This game went like I thought it was going to go because I thought this Seahawks defense was going to be able to dominate the ball game against New England. I like Drake May. But outside of Drake May, I thought that the Patriots had some weaknesses along the offensive line. They weren't great at the skill position spots. I like their two running backs, but this Seattle defense was probably the best defense in the NFL against the run. And we saw last night that Seahawks defense, called by Mike Macdonald, who's going down as one of the better defensive play calling head coaches in the history of the league, was on one. And this Patriots offense had absolutely no answers. I thought at times maybe the game was going to get a little bit closer, but right during championship weekend, when this matchup was determined, I picked Seattle because I just didn't see a spot where the Patriots were better than the Seahawks, and Seattle has just been rolling. They've turned into a wagon, and all year, they were a top 5 on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. And you look at what the Seahawks offense did against New England. It's not like they did anything crazy. I actually thought the Patriots defense played pretty solid, especially buckling down in the red zone, holding Seattle to a lot of Jason Myers field goals. The Seahawks only accumulated 335 yards of total offense, good for 4.7 yards per play. Not a lot of explosives to be had. Sam Darnold threw for under 200 yards. A big thing here for the Seahawks, and this is one of my keys going into the game, which team was going to win on the ground? Which team was going to have that edge in rushing the football? The Seahawks had it by far. 32 carries, 141 yards. Kenneth Walker winning Super Bowl MVP. Another big one here, the Seahawks did not turn it over once, and they protected Sam Darnold a lot better than the Patriots offensive line protected Drake May, which brings us to this. The Seahawks defense, I think, is going to go down as one of the best recent defenses that I've seen over the last several years in Super Bowl history. That Eagles defense in 2024 was iconic. I think to that Broncos defense and the effort that they had against Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers, the Legion of Boom Seahawks defenses were, of course, great. If you want to go back to the early 2000s, those Ravens defenses were phenomenal. And then you think about some of the other top upper echelon defenses that have won Super Bowls. This Patriots defense, Seattle defense, from start to finish, week 1, pole to pole, until Super Bowl 60, was one of the best in the NFL. And I thought they got better as the season progressed. Patriots couldn't run the ball. They turned it over a lot. 3 turnovers, 2 picks, and a fumble. One of them brought back for a touchdown for the Seahawks, which put the game on ice. Couldn't run it, couldn't pass it, couldn't protect, couldn't keep the ball clean. That's really the story of the game. And so this is what the Niners need to do this offseason in order to catch the Seahawks and close that gap on Seattle. Everything the Niners do this offseason should be about catching Seattle. They should be ticked off, peeved, and pissed off and humiliated that the Seahawks went into Levi's with the Sam Darnold photo erected on the outside of the stadium and they won a Super Bowl inside the Niners' crib, and then they were popping champagne bottles in the Niners' locker room and lighting some cigars. So if I'm the Niners, they should be extremely motivated this offseason and should try to pull out all the stops to catch now the new Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. And how do they do that? Number one, got to improve the offensive line. If the 49ers do not improve their offensive line play, the Niners will have no chance to succeed against the Seattle defense. Mike Macdonald is 38 years old. John Schneider is a future Hall of Fame general manager. Mike Macdonald is always going to build his defenses in this way, where they maximize the defensive line and have dogs up front. They have really good linebackers who complement that first level at that second level. Then they're just swarming in that secondary. And this is a Seahawks team that can get after the quarterback, but also stop the run. And then they have some of the top corners in the game and really good safety play on that back end. And what was the theme in Week 18 and in the divisional round between the Niners and the Seahawks? This 49ers offensive line was pushed around, dominated, and manhandled. The Niners could not run the ball. They could not pass protect. They couldn't barely get into the red zone. In 8 quarters to end the season against the Seahawks in 2 games, the Niners did not score a single touchdown, and they got into the red area 1 time. And in my opinion, when you go back, watch the tape, watch the games, the Niners were beat and handled up front in the trenches. And so San Francisco specifically has to upgrade these 2 spots. Center, bye-bye Jake Brendel. Left guard, Spencer Burford, go get overpaid in NFL free agency. You hope that Trent Williams comes back. Because if Trent Williams comes back, you upgrade at left guard. You're better at center. You're good enough at right guard with Dominic Puni, who I thought had a disappointing sophomore campaign, and you're solid enough at right tackle, although I wish the Niners would take right tackle more seriously. They went for a bargain deal with Colton McKivitson, paying him $15 million per year, and anytime that he's gone up against elite players, he's gotten beat, and he's been exposed. But at least he's good enough to be there if you can upgrade and enhance your center and left guard play. What the Seahawks defense did last night was so impressive. They had a pressure rate of 52.8% according to Next Gen Stats, the highest mark in a Super Bowl since at least 2018. They had 6 sacks and 3 turnovers. Those 6 sacks tying what the Eagles did last year when Philadelphia sacked Patrick Mahomes 6 times and did not blitz once. This Patriots offense had 0 explosive runs. No runs of 10-plus yards. Seattle, according to ESPN, also accumulated 19 total pressures. Drake May didn't have a chance all night. And Will Campbell, according to Next Gen Stats, the rookie, who I think is going to have to slide inside to guard, gave up 14 pressures. How to catch Seattle. Point number 2. The last 2 seasons, 2024 and 2025, this Niners rushing attack hasn't been the trademarked Kyle Shanahan dominant rushing attack. The Niners were 30th in yards per carry this year. They are one of the worst rushing teams in football, especially from an efficiency standpoint. And I don't think it was because Christian McCaffrey was getting older. I think the last 2 years, it's been because this Niners offensive line just gets beat up front and they get pushed into the backfield. And that's why McCaffrey's yards before contact have been so low the last 2 years. Or in the case of 2024, any running back that the Niners tried it out there. And one of the foundational pillars of Kyle Shanahan's offense is running the football. And I believe in this running scheme, whether it be for Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay, or anybody else from that tree. I believe that this scheme leads to a good running attack. But the last 2 years, that hasn't been the case. And it started with when the Niners got whooped by Kansas City in Super Bowl 58. When, again, an elite defensive line had the Niners' offensive line's number. And so you just need to get better up front. Because if you improve the run game, what then happens, right? You improve the run game, it leads to you having more success in the passing game. You get play action going a little bit. And I will say, for Kyle Shanahan, If he ever decides to step away from coaching and go on television, I think that he would be a great analyst, whether it be for a pregame, postgame show, or as a color commentator alongside a good play-by-play guy. He said a couple of interesting things last night. Number one, he said jokingly, I know you guys want my expert opinion on this game, but I haven't scored a touchdown on these guys, talking about the Seahawks defense, the last 2 times I've seen them. Kyle Shanahan did have his prediction right in going with the Seahawks 24-17. He, your boy right here, also picking Seattle to win that game. Shanahan also on the Seahawks defense, adding, I think there were 2 Super Bowl defenses this year, and it was Seattle and Houston. When I say that, it means they're capable of winning all on their own if the other side of the ball, special teams and offense, don't mess it up. Well, what happened in the divisional round for Houston? C.J. Stroud messed it up. What happened with Seattle? They got great defensive play, but the offense was also pretty dynamic throughout this playoff run. But that brings me to what Shanahan also said, which goes back to the second point that I made here on the show. Cam Inman, who covers the Niners, does a great job of doing it. I actually just purchased his book, said this and tweeted this out yesterday, that Kyle Shanahan on the Seattle defense, he said, if you can't run the ball, they'll keep their 2 safeties very deep, go too high. They're going to give up no explosives. Shanahan said, I've looked for 2 years, and you can't get the explosives unless you run the ball, unlock them, and you bring the safeties up. What could the Niners not do in Week 18 or in the divisional round? Run the ball. What could the Patriots not do last night? Run the ball. 0 explosive runs. That's why it's important and vital for San Francisco to get back to being a dominant running team. And that starts with the offensive line, because the scheme is not the problem. Before we continue to move forward on today's show, if you hate the Seattle Seahawks, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. It should be every Niner fan who's watching this show right now, because now the Seahawks are the envy of the league. Today's show brought to you and made possible thanks to our friends at Harry's. Did your old razor dull too fast? Did it irritate your neck? Did they cost way too much? I mean, $30 for 8 refills? Come on now. That's a total scam. When I started using Harry's Plus razors, it's changed my life. They have an advanced pivoting system to reach every corner of your face, refined blade technology for a closer, smoother shave, and a weighted metal handle for added control and comfort. With Harry's Plus, you get a barbershop quality shave with German-engineered blades. Each blade is honed at 3 different angles to cut hair cleanly at the root without tugging. Blade spacing is optimized to glide smoothly and avoid clogging. Drugstore blades clog so fast. And every cartridge includes a lubricating strip from Harry's with aloe and vitamin E to calm your skin while you shave. Now, Harry's owns their own world-class blade factory in Germany. No outsourcing, no middleman. The same facility has been perfecting blade making for over 100 years. Because they control the entire process from steel to shelf, they keep costs low. Why pay $30 for refills when Harry's gives you better blades for a fraction of that? So here you go. For a limited time, our listeners can get the Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 at harrys.com/chat. This set includes the all-new Harry's Plus razor, 1 refined 5-blade cartridge, a 2-ounce foaming shave gel, and a travel cover to protect your blades on the go. Again, go to harrys.com/chat to claim this offer. After you make your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please let them know that Chat Sports and the 49ers Report sent you. How to catch Seattle, point number 4. The Niners on offense. This has been a big topic of conversation and a big point I've been wanting to make all offseason long. The Niners on offense need to get faster. The Niners on offense need to get more explosive. And they need to get younger on the offensive side of the ball. Going into the 2026 offseason, the Niners are the oldest offense in the NFL. Christian McCaffrey going to be 30. Trent Williams going to be 38. George Kittle on the other side of 30. You just need more youth talent and an injection of youth on the offensive side of the ball for the Niners. And in Week 18 and in the division round, this really stood out to me. The Niners could not run the ball. They could not protect. That led to Seattle doing what Kyle Shanahan said is the death nail for any offense, playing those 2 safeties deep, because then you can't generate explosive plays. And a big reason why the Niners also couldn't generate explosive plays on top of everything that I just mentioned, There was not a player on the Niners offense who put fear into that Seahawks defense that they could either be explosive, pick up yards after the catch, take the lid off of the defense and slip behind the defense. The Niners had nobody from a speed perspective who could threaten that Seahawks defense. Whereas Seattle's defense, long, physical, athletic, and as we talked about with Bill Romanowski, check that interview out, they were violent. And I like Drake May as a player. I think that his future is very bright. When you look at all of the efficiency stats, he had better numbers this past year than Matthew Stafford, who ended up winning NFL MVP. But the thing with Drake May last night, Stephon Diggs, good player, but he's older. Kayshon Boutte, good player, but is he special? Not really. Matt Collins, solid player, had a great contested catch for a touchdown, but is he a player who has a strength being speed in his game? No. The Seahawks were not feared by anybody on that Patriots offense, especially along their offensive line, but also at the skill position spots. The Niners had the same problem. Lastly, this is an issue here for me. John Schneider and Howie Roseman, I think, are the two best general managers in the sport. They are two GMs that during their tenures as GMs of their teams have won 2 Super Bowls with 2 different head coaches and 2 different quarterbacks, with 2 different rosters that were completely different. And what a job John Schneider did in building the Seahawks team. And it didn't take him long to turn them into a Super Bowl champion. And even when the Seahawks kind of reset/rebuilt, it's not like they were bad. Last year, they won 10 games. But whether it be big trades or big free agency signings or knocking it out of the park with draft picks, John Schneider has been in his bag. He learned when he was working for that great Green Bay Packers organization. He's come to Seattle, and he solidified himself as a future Hall of Fame general manager. And the issue with John Lynch is that he's the 3rd best GM in his own division. John Schneider 1, Les Snead 2. Les Snead's also one of the best general managers in the game. And John Lynch is number 3. This is a Niners team that has handed out bad contracts to some of their homegrown players. They've earned those contracts, but sometimes you just got to say no. And those contracts have burned San Francisco. They have whiffed on a lot of draft picks, and that's part of the reason why the Niners are where they are. A roster that's bereft of depth, talent, and a roster that's old and expensive. Don't forget to give me a follow on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Chase_Senior. You can find me on Facebook, Chase Senior Chat Sports. Really appreciate everybody who showed me so much love being in the Bay Area for Super Bowl week. Really thanks to everybody for coming up, saying hi, and supporting the content. You're the best.